One of the most important parts of a chess game is the endgame, where everything is decided, whether it's a draw, a loss, or a win. Some positions, since they happen really often, have been studied over time to understand if that certain game and that certain position can be won or at least drawn. Today I'm going through the most basic things, for example king and queen versus king endgames. The first thing I want to do is to show you how to mate with a queen and a king versus a king. By theory, it doesn't take more than 10 moves to checkmate a lone king with a queen and a king. The first thing you want to do is to bring your king as close as possible to the other one, while the other one in response will try to stay as centered as possible. Let's play b2. d5 comes, and then c3. e5, you see the king is trying to stay in the center as much as possible. And then what you want to do with the queen is to close as much as possible space for maneuvering to the black king. So you go for example on g6, and now you see he cannot go here nor here, and you cut off all of this part of the board. And then when the king moves, you have to follow it in this way and close even more the cage. You want to follow the king in order to form an L between the king and the queen. You see? So now the king moves again and you follow him. And then again and you follow him again. And he cannot escape. There's no way. If the king goes here, it's mating 1. Be careful when the king goes here instead to not do this, because this is stalemate. And a lot of beginners do this mistake. What you have to do is to bring the king on c4, and now the only move available for the black king is this one, and it is mating 1. Or you could mate also in this way. It's just what you prefer. But be careful, as I said, to not do this mistake, this blunder, I would say, because a winning position will become a draw. Let's try again with a casual setup position that may most likely occur during a normal game. So what we said is you bring the king near, king c3, king e5, king b4, and now the king has to fall back. You follow your king, you follow him again, you continue to follow him, and if this is stalemate, as we said. So if this, bring in your king, if this, bring your king near again, if this, you go like this, and the only move available is this one, and this is checkmate, this is checkmate too. Or instead you can go on b3, and in both ways it's checkmate. In this other way you block the king, you suffocate him in the corner, and that's how you win in a king and a queen endgame versus king. Most likely you know how to checkmate with 2 rooks, but we'll go through it anyway, just to be sure. You check the king, and the king now is forced here. This is the best move for the black king, because if the rook goes here, you take. So instead, you bring the rook on the other side of the board as far as possible from the king, and now the king has to move again, maybe here for example. You cut another line, now the king goes here, so you cannot do this because it will get taken. What you want to do is the same thing as you did before. You go on the other side here, and this is mate. So when there are 2 rooks, the checkmate is sure, 100%, even with 1 rook, but it's more difficult. I'll show to you in a pair of minutes. The thing you want to do is to cut as much as possible the board in order to decrease the king's mobility. And then you cut its head off. If he comes near, you go on the other side of the board. Do not put the two rooks on the same rank or file. They have to be on two different ranks or files. With a queen and a rook, it's even easier. It's the same thing, but there is a way to be sure you can also remove this. For example, you go here and the king has to go here. If, for example, the king comes here, and do not make this mistake, because now you have just a rook. What you want to do instead is to lose a move. Now the rook is the one nearest to the king and cannot be taken because it's protected by the queen behind. So the king goes like this. You check. Give another check. You see, you cannot take. Goes here and it's checkmate. What happens when you have a rook and a king? The thing you want to do is to cut the board, as we said before. And now, if the king goes here, you follow him. He goes here, you follow him. Because soon enough, the board will land and it will get caught. So he goes here and you follow him again. And now the only thing he can do, he can go back, but it's not favorable to him. So instead he will go here. You check him and the only thing the king can do is to go back. Because you oppose the black king with your king. And when you follow him, you not go straight in front of the king. But instead you go on the side. Because now it will happen the same thing as before. Let's say it goes in this way. Now you switch side. He moves. You lose a move because now it's not working in the same way as it worked before, since you moved the rook. So, like this. King moves here, you go here. If he goes back, you just follow. And now it will happen the same thing. Then again, you follow the same procedure. You switch side. Here, you do another move. And now the only file available is this one. So he goes back, you run away. The king tries to catch you. If this, it's checkmate. If this, you are going to follow the same steps as before, and eventually the king will get caught. And it's mate. Of course, these things don't happen in every game, but very, very often. And since you're also low on time during the end game, you want to know these positions and not to transform a winning position in a draw. So you have to practice, to exercise, and the next time you'll win a game in this situation, you'll think about me.